We're in South Florida, Coconut Creek, North Broward County, west of Pompano Beach, north of Fort Lauderdale, and south of Boca Raton. And we're here at American Top Team, one of the premier MMA groups in the world. Kimbo Slice is training here, getting ready for his Bellator fight on June 19th in St. Louis. It'll be broadcast on Spike TV. He goes up against the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. We're here at American Top Team in Coconut Creek, Florida, South Florida, with the man. This man is a legend. This man is a fighter. This man is a smart man. This is Kimbo Slice. Kimbo, you've got the big fight coming up, Bellator, in the cage, June 19th in St. Louis. It's going to be on Spike TV. You're fighting one, Ken Shamrock. What does this fight mean to you?
Oh man, I'm looking forward to it. I've been waiting too long for it. And I'm finally getting ready to get this monkey off my back, literally. It's just been a long wait. I took some time off, allowed the sport to grow on me a little bit more, to make myself a lot more of a rounder fighter. And I'm really looking forward to this fight. Ken Shamrock he's still, he's a very dangerous opponent. He still has his strength, his ability, his wits about himself. So, I want to beat him at his best. I'm glad he's going to be in the best shape of his life. He said it too many times, and I'm looking forward to it.
Kimbo, what is a training day like for you when you're getting ready for a fight?
We train 2.5 to 3 hours every day, twice a day at times. And we can go hard, but we go smart. We're very smart with our training, because being, over 40, being a senior fighter now, you have to be very smart in what you do. You want to be able to make it to the next day. You want to be able to stay in decent shape for your events. Swimming, I swim twice a week. I swim twice a week, 16 laps, and I try to jog, about a mile, without walking a little bit, give or take a quarter mile of walking. I jog about a mile, and this once a week. So I try to stay in decent shape. Looking forward to a fight.
How is there a difference, if there is a difference, training MMA, training for bare knuckles fighting?
Well, I don't know what this crap they got going on nowadays, this bare knuckle garbage, but there's no training for a bare knuckle fight, an event. These guys supposed to, I don't know what they're supposed to do, but back in our time, it was literally just something that we did. We didn't mean to give birth to that crazy kid, that bad kid you don't want. You give birth to kids sometimes and they turn out not to be the way you want. You wish you could just take them fishing, and then come back with the fish, but leave the kid. So, with this bare knuckle thing, I don't know what's going on with that, but I feel like if these guys really want to train for that, I'm glad we tapped on that. But if these guys want to train to be some type of fighters, to do it the right way, become professionals, put on the gloves, and go into the gym and train the right way and try to get on a major network, but there's no, but to train for bare knuckle and then to fight bare knuckle, someone's gonna really, get some serious damage done, because now you're fighting with the skill and you're doing it bare knuckle, so you're gonna really hurt somebody. I'm glad I turned pro. It opened up the door for a lot of things for me. And if I have to give some advice to these guys, if you guys want a bare knuckle fight, if you guys want to train, literally train, put the gloves on, wrap up, and become professionals, and do it the right way like the professionals would do it.
Who's helping you train? Who are some of the people involved in your team now for MMA?
I have a great corner. I have a heavyweight by the name of Josh. He's a pretty good guy. I have another lightweight fighter who fights the UFC named Marcus. Everyone knows Mike Brown. Who does not know Mike Brown? And another guy named Malky. And I have a strength and conditioning coach by the name of Aaron, and another guy by the name of Brian. We put a good team together. There's 5 days of the week. We break those days down. I train 2-3 hours a day, and everyone gets some time. I have time to put time in with everyone that's going to help make me a better fighter.
You touched on it a little already, but what do you think of Ken Shamrock, and how much respect do you have for Ken?
I think a great deal about every opponent as an individual, as a human, but as someone that I'm getting ready to have a fight with. I think to hurt him. I think to do damage. I think to win my fights in a fashionable sense. I want to either knock him out, I'll try to break a bone. I have goals in my fights. As brutal as it may sound, I have to keep the barbaric mentality to do good. I came into the game kind of late. A lot of these guys and a lot of my opponents have 10 to 15 years on me, so I have to be a little bit more vicious than they would be. And Ken, he's still dangerous. He's a very talented individual, I just have to make sure all my T's are crossed and all my I's are dots coming into this fight.
Kimbo, what was it like for you when you first started getting started with the boxing, with the fist fighting that you were doing and all? What was that time like for you? We talked about it a little bit beforehand, but just talk a little bit about that and how the times were then, and it ended up getting you to this point, which is great.
We're talking about back in the 90s, the early to mid 90s, right after Hurricane Andrew, where the economy was still jacked up, where finding work was still kind of hard to do, and only doors was open up for a certain type of works, for certain type of individuals, I even took the time. I went to college, I went to Bethune for a couple semesters, came back home, went to UM for a semester or two, and still trying to find good work, the collar work, put on the shirt and tie, and have my resume, my portfolio set up right, and I was even to be told being overqualified or they wasn't hiring at the time, that kind of just allowed me to just flow back into the neighborhood, into our hood, I should say, back into the hood and look for jobs at local stores, being security guard late at night with my pistol, because I had my license at the time, security license. So I was still finding work with late night stores, 24-hour stores, the strip clubs, and and that's where the fighting really was starting in those type of environments. And until one day coming, my buddy and I,
because they had club fighting. They had club fighting back then.
They had club fighting back then, or it would just be with a group of guys coming in from the neighborhood with their muscles and trying to flex in the club. And when you work in the club, you got to keep some type of peaceful environment, and that would open up the door for a lot of fights to take place. And that's one thing led to another, and we started off from there.
The first time you ever competed in a fight, any type of fist fight, were you anxious, nervous, or worried?
No, never worried. Never worried, never anxious. I look at a fight like now, I'm looking forward to it. I know my skills, I know my game plan, and I'm never worried going into a fight. Never worried going into a fight.
Because you're a very self-confident individual.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm very self-confident. And I keep my guards up, chin down, guards up, and I come in ready to win.
In that tone, and I think I know the answer now, but what was it like the first time stepping into a cage or an octagon?
Even then, the opportunity, it was a situation, again, my first fight. We talking about a Ray Mercer, Ray Mercer, the heavyweight champion of the world, a badass. I mean, he ended Tommy Morrison's career with some hellified blows, and Ray Mercer, he fought the best. And my first fight was against him. The commissioners thought that I was going to get destroyed. They didn't want to sanction the fight, so they made it as, I forgot what they called it. It wasn't a pro fight, they called it, I forgot what they called it. But my first fight was against Ray Mercer, and I beat him in 1 minute and 24 seconds. You know, I choked him out with a submission, gave him a couple of blows to the head, busted his nose, busted his lip, you know, and the fight ended in 1 minute and 24. So that just gave me a little bit more confidence that I can do this.
Were there any boxers that you admire?
Always Michael Tyson, Michael Spinks, not Michael Spinks, Mike Tyson, Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, and Smoking Joe. Smoking Joe Frazier, he had the bob and weave game locked, you know, but he went against Foreman, and I saw that fight, and he couldn't match up against Foreman, man. Foreman had so much power in those jabs, and that right straight.
He lifted Frazier up.
Because Foreman that was an amazing fight. So yes, I had a Mike Tyson. I liked Mike Tyson's style. That was my era. Sugar Ray, you know, before my time. But his speed and his style in the ring was just amazing. And back in the days, Muhammad Ali, he was just the you know, the man to want to be like. He's the one who gave kids the dream that we can do this. You know, and then even in modern day times, you got Roy Jones Jr., who is just as nasty, just as good.
Did you ever get to meet any of them? Did they ever meet you?
Yes, I've met pretty much everyone, you know, except for the Smoking Joe. Shook hands with Ali, met Mike.
That must have been an awesome experience.
Yeah, it was. You know, my main was meeting Mike. Me and Mike met on quite a few occasions. I have a lot of respect for Mike, and to this day, he's still, you know, the man in the heavyweight division in my book.
Were there ever any thoughts for you to go into professional boxing, pro boxing?
Yeah, I took some time and took that under consideration. But I think with boxing, you needed more time. I needed more time to get those skills completely down pat. If you look at MMA you have so many different dimensions that you can, you know, build on and go from.
And when you say that, do you mean like whether it's wrestling, boxing, jiu-jitsu, any different things?
Dimensions. The different dimension of wrestling, dimension of kickboxing, dimension of jiu-jitsu, dimension of wrestling. There's so many different dimensions in MMA where you can be a beginner and still do good. Whereas with boxing is one dimension, but there's a lot of different vents to go through, steps and measures to take that will make a boxer a better boxer. I mean, you almost have to commit to your certain stands, but committing to those stands will put you in dangerous grounds in an MMA fight. So a boxer has to be very good at that one dimension. Whereas in MMA, you could, you know, tip a little bit on everything, touch a little bit on everything, and be a well-rounded fighter, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, and this is obviously something, what you're doing. Yeah. This is the path you're taking to do that. Do you enjoy and respect pro wrestling?
I like pro wrestling. I think it's very entertaining. My son loves it.
Who doesn't? They're characters. They're athletes, but they're entertainers. It's amazing.
Very characteristic. They're very talented, and I have a lot of respect for the pro wrestlers. I really do.
Have you ever met one of your University of Miami brethren, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock?
Yeah, we came across each other's paths once or twice. He was actually at UM as a D lineman the time that I was there for a little bit. Quite a few guys that, you know, played ball there.
Warren Sapp? Yeah,
Warren Sapp, Jesse Armstead, Michael Barrow, Rohan Marley, you know, a lot of Steve McGuire. A lot of those guys were upperclassmen, and I was an underclassman. They're a couple years younger than those guys. And to see everyone to be successful on that level that came from that era is a beautiful thing, you know. They just gave me motivation to be with these guys. Even what's the middle linebacker name for Baltimore?
Ray Lewis.
Ray Lewis was even there at the time as well. You know, he was a year ahead of me, if I'm not mistaken, a year or two ahead of me. So it was a lot of guys in that era that just became stars now.
In whatever. Yes.
Different events, in different venues, you know, became stars now. So I guess that was just our era, that motivation. Hurricane Andrew did something to us, came and cleaned up, but it dropped some stars in our midst, you know.
And it's amazing too what The Rock has been able to do, not only with the wrestling, but also in the movies and all like that. Is there a situation now, because he's doing a lot of work in South Florida. He has his own company, of maybe Kimbo Slice being able to participate, be a co-star or something on one of his shows?
If it happens, it happens.
Would that be something you like?
My doors are open. My doors are open.
Now, more onto that, and then we'll wrap this up. Ken Shamrock, Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, and Bobby Lashley, who's also going to be on this Bellator show on June 19th.
Well.
That's right, and they all have been involved and done well in professional wrestling.
Right.
What are your thoughts of that? And is that something you ever thought about maybe trying?
You know, like I said, my doors are open, if the opportunity came my way, I'm sure even with wrestling, it's going to take time, some training. Everything comes with training, to get used to the motions, the moves, the strokes, the wave. To learn how to surf is not easy thing. You can't just get out there with a board and attack the first wave that comes your way. Everything takes training, it takes time. So my doors are open, and like I said, I have a lot of respect for pro wrestling. To end the day as a pro wrestler, I mean, that'll just be another, another star in my book.
Did you have any favorites when you watch the pro wrestlers? Did you have any favorites?
I'm old school, I'm old school. JYD, Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, Strongman Ken Patera with the full Nelson.
World's strongest man, Ken Patera. I remember him, and he was a U.S. Olympian as well. He was powerlifting. Mr. USA, Tony Atlas.
I like those guys. Jimmy Superfly Snuka, Kevin Sullivan. I'm old school.
You're a Miami guy, so you must have grown up with championship wrestling from Florida.
Yeah, those guys was the real deal. I mean, I'm not saying these guys today aren't real deals. Those guys was taking hits. They were really fighting out there, Nowadays, things got to be a little bit...
It's a little more entertaining.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit careful.
A little less physical, a little more... They're still physical.
A little more respect for your fellow man. Put it that way.
I'll ask this then, because you mentioned Dusty. Dusty Rhodes just passed away yesterday and all. What can you say about that?
Okay.
What can you say about Dusty and just what he meant to you and to wrestling?
He's one of the greats. I'm sure they have, McMahon is, contemplating him in the Hall of Fame if he's not there.
He's already there. Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
I mean, you couldn't. And then his son, Dustin is doing a great job. Get rid of that Goldust shit and rep your old man. Come on with that.
Kimbo, thank you much. 219 Bellator St. Louis. It'll be on Spike TV against Ken Shamrock. Go get him, Kimbo.
That's what's up, man.